Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. First of all, I want to thank everyone for the amazing support I received lately, especially on my 0 hour videos. I usually spend quite some time making those videos to keep a certain production value, which means I do not upload videos as often as you might be used to, but I'm glad to see that most of you have enjoyed them and the work that goes into them. And so today we are back to talk about the biggest gameplay changes that will be coming to 0 hour with Operation Meghna. With the game being in early access, you can expect some aspects of the game to change over time as we get closer to the final release of the game. But the core direction of 0 hour remains pretty much the same. It is and will remain a 5v5 objective-based PvP tactical shooter game with a co-op mode. But with the addition of many new features and content, we are going to see some serious gameplay changes with Operation Meghna, just like we saw with Operation Black Dawn. In this video, I want to deep dive a little bit into those changes, what interesting gameplay experiences this update will bring to the table, and what you should expect once the update is live. Just remember that everything I am talking about and showcasing in this video is from a work-in-progress build and is subject to changes. Some of this stuff might change a lot before the update gets released. So, without further ado, let's deep dive into my personal top 5 gameplay changes coming with Operation Meghna. With the 4 new weapons getting added to 0 hour, the defenders now have a pretty good and well-balanced weapon inventory available to them. The sort of shotgun, the PP-19 Bison and the AS Val are giving defenders better choices and chances to stand against attackers. The MP7 also got switched over to the attackers, and the MAC-10 became an exclusive weapon to defenders. As a result, both attackers and defenders now have a limited stock of both weapons and primary gadgets to keep the game balanced. While before Operation Meghna, the defenders had unlimited weapons but limited primary gadgets, and it was the other way around for the attackers. So attackers will now have to be more careful when using C2 charges or night visions, because they will no longer have enough for everyone to use in every round before changing sides. At first, you might think that this is going to just make things less interesting and just harder for everyone, and I think you would be half right and half wrong to think this way. It is definitely going to make things harder, since you will no longer have unlimited NVGs if you are attacking, or unlimited AK-74 if you're defending. But I don't think it will make things less interesting. I actually think the other way, since adding limitations to the weapon and the gadget stocks minimizes the use of meta as much as possible. I hate meta gameplay. There is nothing more boring than meta gameplay in most games where everyone is encouraged too much to play in just one way, and I think 0 hour does a pretty good job at avoiding that. And the more weapons and the more gadgets we would get in the future, the more diversity we could have in those limitations, and the more gameplay diversity we could get as well. So all the new weapon sound effects is another underrated improvement that will actually be impacting the gameplay more than most people think. And I'm not talking about the quality or the style of the weapon sound effects or how authentic or not authentic they are compared to how weapons sound in real life, but I'm talking about the indoor versus the outdoor sound effects and the tinnitus effects that will be coming to 0 hour with Operation Meghna. So why do I think that those new sound effects and the tinnitus effects are going to impact the gameplay? The tinnitus effect is an obvious one. The more you shoot, the more you lose your capacity to hear things around. You would have the option to remove the annoying sound effects when you're getting the tinnitus, and you would just be losing the general audio of the game for a short period of time, in case you actually suffer from tinnitus in real life and you don't want to experience that even more while playing your favorite game, that is 0 hour. So, the loss of hearing, that's a pretty big deal in a game like 0 hour, where some quiet audio cues are extremely important for you to hear if you want to stay alive. Grenades getting thrown at you, C2 charges getting placed, doors getting opened or smashed, attackers climbing or breaching from a balcony. All of those give you extremely valuable information about your enemies, but to avoid getting tinnitus, you must limit how much you fire your weapon. Roaming around firing a round with your weapon in full auto probably won't be as easy as it used to be. Suppressing fire is going to be much harder to achieve as well, which is something that would probably impact defenders a lot. As we've seen before, the new weapon audio system also generates different sound effects depending on where you are and where the weapon is being fired and your location compared to that weapon. It will be easier for you to determine if the weapon is being fired from the outside or inside your building, and what kind of weapon is being fired as well. So all of these are, again, extremely valuable information for your team. But I also think that the new sound effects will have a more psychological impact on how players will play, because they are a lot more scarier and intimidating than before.
30 seconds remaining.
Say goodbye to changing weapon by mistake when trying to close a door, and say hello to the new inventory system that lets you collect weapons and gadgets from players' inventory directly. Obviously not everything can be used for balancing reasons, and because some gadgets should only be used if you are either defending or attacking, but with the new limited stocks of weapons and gadgets, the inventory system and the ability to collect more items adds a whole new dynamic of important responsibilities to the game. If used properly, this new inventory system can provide you with the opportunities to bring valuable gadgets or weapons back to your team for the next round. The notion of surviving to see another day and saving for another round is somewhat already there in 0 Hour, but it's not as obvious as what you can see in other games like CSGO or Valorant. In 0 Hour, it's something that you will start realizing after you've played long enough, or if you play with a team that has a strong sense of teamwork. However, I feel that this new inventory system will surface the notion of collecting valuable items that could be useful in the next rounds a lot more and a lot sooner than before. More importantly, this also means that any gadgets that were not used during the round can still be picked up and used by someone else from your team. So once again, you will be encouraged to share information about your loadout to the rest of your team, just to make sure that in the event you get killed and you couldn't use your gadget, so let's say a frag or a flash grenade, another teammate can potentially get to your body, get those gadgets and use them to win a round. One of the biggest changes, if not the biggest change, that everyone will feel in PvP is the removal of the dynamic kill feed. Once Operation Meghna is live, you will no longer be automatically notified when you or another team member successfully kills an enemy. In order for you to have the usual notification displayed in the kill feed like before, you will be required to actively confirm the kill. To do that, someone from your team, either the person who got the kill or anybody else from your team or yourself, must have the neutralized suspect, or the body, in their line of sight, and press F to confirm the kill. Only then everyone in your team will see the notification. And if someone from your team gets killed, then it would be the other way around for the enemy team. They would have to find the body and confirm the kill to get the notification. However, your team, you would get the notification right away once a team member gets killed. So this risk of not knowing if you actually killed your target is obviously going to make things a lot slower, and you will be forced to be a lot more careful when clearing areas. Suspects neutralized with a frag grenade while they were concealed is a good example of that. You won't know if you actually got the kill until you actually reach, breach and fully clear that room in order to confirm the kill. In the meantime, you would have to assume that the threat is still there, it's still present, and you would have to adapt your strategy accordingly. So PvP would once again become a lot more strategic, with a slower pace and a lot more communication. Telling your team when and where you think you killed an enemy will help your team a lot, especially in situations when you cannot reach the body easily. For instance, attackers who get killed while rappelling will fall all the way down to the ground. So if you got that kill from a certain distance and you couldn't properly see if the enemy died and then fell to the ground, you will have to assume they are still alive until the kill has been confirmed and the round has been won. Last but not least, the final aspect of my top 5 changes that will improve the PvP gameplay of 0 Hour is the smoke grenade. This might not sound big enough to make a difference, but wait to play Operation Meghna and you will see how useful the smoke grenade can be when utilized properly. It's going to be a secondary gadget, which means we have unlimited stock of smoke grenades. That's at least how it works at the time of recording with secondary gadgets, but it could always change in the future. But if you decide to have several of your team members with a smoke grenade, you could use that in pretty interesting and new tactics, and that's why I think it's going to impact the gameplay of 0 Hour a lot, at least in PvP. You could obviously use it to block the line of sight of defenders. The kitchen door on Terror House is a pretty good example of that. You could either smoke the door from the balcony on the 3rd floor, or from the stairs, or even from the outside on the 2nd floor. You could also use it to cover your approach towards the objective, like on Hotrod when the bomb is in room 3 or 4 and you come from the balcony and the long corridor. You can smoke this entire area, or at least at the end of the corridor, and safely move towards room 3 or 4 without facing too much resistance. At the end of the day, the smoke grenade is a situational gadget, just like any other gadget. It will work and perform well if it plays a relevant part in your tactics. It has to be used with a specific purpose in mind, otherwise you won't make the most out of it and it will probably fail. Other than that, I think the C2 charge has also been buffed, so it can destroy gadgets like the C4 charges and damage defenders that are hiding behind doors. The other improvements that the team started working on, and that I think is going to change the PvP gameplay a lot, but not directly, are the options to do skill-based matches and the penalties for leaving an ongoing match on purpose. So I think those two improvements will most definitely change the way people behave in PvP, and I think it could potentially change the gameplay, or at least the experience people are getting. I don't want to deep dive too much into those two improvements because I have only seen the first iteration, and those are the kind of features that need to be improved over time with several iterations. But it's good to know that the team started working on those improvements, and I'm sure they are looking forward to hearing the community's feedback once Operation Meghna has been released. And so those are my top 5 improvements that I think are going to change the way PvP plays in 0 Hour once Operation Meghna has been released. Let me know in the comments below what you think of those changes and which one is your favorite one. We're also getting to the 1.2 thousand subscribers, so if you haven't yet and you want to support the channel, don't forget to subscribe, leave a like and share this video with your friends. It's honestly the best way to support the channel right now. I hope you enjoyed this video, thanks again for watching, and I will see you in the next video.